Hello everyone. Yes, I'm sorry for the noise. I've got a print going in the background, but I've got a build video to do for you. It's one you've probably seen a lot of videos lately, and I'd like to thank FLsun for sending me this printer to get my opinion. They are the understanding that this is my opinion. They don't have any influence as to what I say on this video. I did receive the printer free of charge for that purpose, so that I could give my opinion. So with that in mind, this is the FLsun T1 Pro Delta printer, and even the box is big, so I suspect this is going to take some bit of building. Here we go. Right, let's just scooch that up just a bit more. As you can see, the box just barely fits, into the office. But we're good. And if it's just the right size, I can probably get it up on the shelf either next to Frank or above Bumblebee. For those of you who do not know, Frank is my self-built quirks printer. You've probably seen it in some of my previous videos. And Bumblebee is the little Voron 0.2 R1 Pro, which is currently making some parts for Frank. Just getting that. Here we go. That's the one. Just a bit more there. I try not to do this with a blade that's sharp because I don't want to open my fingers while I'm at it. Okay. Yeah, that's my little catch bin, as per se. Right, put that up there where it's out of the way. And if I accidentally put, wow, okay, so they've even put extra wrapping on that. Okay. There we go. That's the one. There we go. Alright, that should sort that out. So I can get into the box. Here we go. Nearly there. See, I probably need to do builds in a different room and then bring it in here, because I really wouldn't take on anything that I couldn't fit in here, to be honest. Okay. Right, so let's bring this forward now a little bit. There we go. Just put that like that, hopefully. And hopefully it'll stay there. Now I can put that up there. Okay, so it looks pretty straightforward here. What do we got here? Little quality assurance card. Service policy. The user guide. There we go. That's the stuff we need. Oh, I bet you that's a toolkit. Yes, this is the first time I've had the privilege and pleasure of one of the newest ones from FLsun. Yep, as I expected. Little toolkit. Why do I feel something's supposed to be there for some reason? But it looks like it comes with a spare nozzle. That looks like a standard V6, so that's very nice to know. That, I believe, yep, PTFE connector. That's one I haven't seen, where it's metal. And it's the clicky type. Yay. I prefer these, but yeah. Something tells me something was supposed to be there. We have a nozzle needle here. Yeah, there we go. Anything underneath I'm aware of? Okay. So that's our tool kit. And if that's everything, I'm going to be impressed. I'm guessing this is like a universal box, though. They probably use some of the extras. And yes, as you can also see, there's a USB memory stick. And it is a 16 gigabyte, apparently. There we go. That'll be good. So let's just get that back in there. We'll put this up top, because we're probably going to need that, although I'll probably break out my Wera tools. Yeah, so I'll put that up there, that there, and let's just keep the instruction right together. So default input, typical specifications, gives you parameters of what it's rated for, capability, all of your parts listings. Power cord accessory box, okay, so that's called an accessory box. Enclosure holders, parts kits. Okay, so there's another bit in here somewhere. Alright, yeah, okay. Lubricant. Did not see that in there, and I bet you that's what. And glue stick, that's what's missing. So we're missing some lubricant and a glue stick. Well, it's a good thing I've got pretty much one of each, because I've got glue sticks and I've got super lube, which is my preferred thing. Okay, so not really much else in there. Okay, somebody had a misspell on the manual, but that's me being OCD. Okay, so take out the top shell, filament holder, and the screws. Place the top shell upside down, and they have aligned the filament holder with the screws. Okay, so I need to find that accessories box. Right, let's do that. That will be in here somewhere. That's the screen. This looks strikingly similar to what they were talking about, but I'm going to put that over here to the side, off camera, so it's not distracting. Big bunch of screws. Lots and lots of screws. So it looks like this is going to be a little bit more than some of the kit, that you get out there, because it is a little more involved, is Delta printers. But they are just magical to watch. If you've never seen one, you can probably even look back in my group and you'll see an old Cossel Delta that I was playing with for a while. Absolutely a pleasure to watch them. Quite mesmerizing. Okay, so we have some PTFE. That is our bit there. So we have some extra foam there that protected that. So this is the top that they were referring to. Get that bit of styrofoam out. So that, I believe, is what they're referring to. Yep, top shell. And number 10, filament holder. Number 10, filament holder. Right. So now we know what that is. And you need they would like you to use the 2mm. Okay, so that's number 2. That must be part of it. Okay, that's a filament holder. Right. Right, so let's put that over to the side for a moment. And they would like those something along the lines of that. I'm just going to look at that a little closer. Yep, sure enough. Basically like that. Let me just make sure you can see that. There we go. You should be able to see that now. Okay. Right. So, yep, we got the part 10s, and they basically go here, like that, and then this goes through. So that's rather clever. So let's pull these out and about. Yes, in case you haven't guessed, this printer has CPAP, and that means it has some insanely large amounts of air that happens. Okay, so, and we need the M3 by 6mm screws. So where's the M3 6? There they are. Okay, yep, those look like M3, all right. Sure enough. All right, get a pair of scissors. Let's see if I can make this one of those quick builds other than my Boron Zero build. That did take quite a bit, but that was the first time doing one of those, and I really was being overly careful, I'm sure. Let me just make sure there's no others here that are M3 that I need to be concerned about. That's M3 by 3, M3 by 5, M2 by 9, M4 by 12. Okay, yeah, we're good. All right. So, got that. And what size is that? That's this up here. Nice little kit, everything numbered. So when they tell you use this particular Allen key, you'll know exactly which one it is. That's rather nice. There we go, that's one. This is an insanely cool looking machine, and I can see roughly what the footprint's going to be. So I'm thinking if I do a little jigging around on the equipment up top, I might be able to put it up there. Depending on its height, when I get Frank down here to do his upgrades, because he's getting an overhaul, I might put that up there. But I think this is going to be one of the fun printers that I have, aside of just making parts. I think this is going to be the I can make fun stuff. Okay, so that looks like that needs to get back on there, in my opinion. There we go. Yeah. That's better. That makes me feel much more comfortable. Although my OCD is saying please make them even on both sides. There we go. That's better. Okay. And there we go. That's that done. And like anything, put your tools back as soon as you're done using it, even if you think you might need them again. Just keep it handy. Yeah? Okay. And then insert the pin. Well, they say insert the filament holder pins into the filament holder in the direction shown in the illustration, which they would like this, ideally, to be this way around for orientation reasons. It looks like Bumblebee finished that part, so I'm very pleased about that. And they would like that to go in through here, like such. And that's basically, it looks like you could do it either way, to be fair. Filament holder installation completed. Yay. Okay. Right, we get to get the big pieces out now. Okay. So, place bottom shell on table, take out the main wiring in the groove on the left side of the bottom shell, and you get your 3 towers. So let me move this. I think this can go up here for now. And I think that piece is going to end up on my chair, which is over out of the view. Yeah, because the bottom needs to go here now. So, right, let's put that there. Let's just take this wiring and this CPAP cable, carefully place it right there. Very lightweight. I don't suspect it's going to stay that way. Okay, what do we got here? Right, this is the bottom piece, and need to take out that piece of foam first. Okay, maybe I'll do that in a second. Big heavy piece. Yeah, that's a little bit heavier. That's clearly got the power supply and everything else. Oh, that's nice. Little things to make sure you get your bed sheet on. That'll be for an end stop. Yeah. Right. No way to push that out from the bottom. So let's grab that there. Yeah. Now, this deck definitely made of metal. This is plastic over here. You know, so seems to be a nice combination of the two types of materials that you might expect. Alright, what are these? Yes, alright. So these items I'm going to just take out and put to the side because I'll show those as and when we need to show them. Okay, I like that, sort of. Right. And, ooh, nice. Okay, I know what that is. Right. Yeah, I'm trying not to spoil things by telling you what's coming out of the box just yet. Well, do it as per the build. Wow, okay, that's huge. There's a lot in there. Okay. Let's push that down. There we go. Yeah, that's it. Right. Wow, okay. Huge. What do we got here? So, what I might do is I might just pause this and get all these out in the open because there's definitely a lot to this build. So I'm just going to pause this and I'll come back in when I have just the parts out. Okay, it wasn't as nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. We got 3 towers and the enclosure panels that were in the bottom, and then a couple of bags, obviously, with some framework, and then, of course, a power cable. So, yeah, this is going to be a lot easier than I suddenly realized. So, oh, okay, so we have an extra USB port here. I shall remember where that is. I bet you there's something to do with that. So, right, let's just bring this out a little bit because I can see where this is going to get quite large, but this is not that bad. This is a good size. Let's just bring out le ruler. See if it's as I think it is. Yeah, let's go to an edge. Yep, it's about the same size as the Speed Racer, so 270 millimeter diameter plate. Very nice 3 millimeter bed there underneath that, so I'm really pleased to see that aspect. Right, okay, carrying on. So 1, 2, 3. Take out the towers, place 8 bottom shell on the table, take out the main wiring in the groove on the left side, insert number 3, got it, axis, as in shown. Okay, so I need to take this out of here, as they suggest. It's just there we go. Right, there we go. Oh, nice. Okay, so we'll just put that up like that for a moment. Now there's some interesting little thing. Ah, that's the reference. Okay, yeah, so I do have it the right way. Right, so number 3 goes here. Number 11 goes here. And 15 goes in the back, which is your Z. Okay, and for those that, and they even explain it, which is a question I occasionally get when I'm talking to somebody about Delta printers, because they go like Tower A, Tower B, Tower C, and they say, well, how do you figure X, Y, and Z? So X is your front left, Y is your front right, Z is your back middle. Yeah. So let's get these. Okay, so it has some bolts that go in through. Oh, yeah, I see. Okay, got it. Yeah, let's just make sure that stays in. That looks so good. Okay, now I'm not going to do them in that order as per se. I'm not going to go X, Y, Z. I'm going to put the others in first. That was number 15 for the Z-axis. So that's this one. There's those crazy new type of rails. That is wild. I'm liking this thing, definitely. And then the last one goes right in here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this so that you'll be able to see what I'm doing when I'm doing it, because I think that would be much more desirable to those watching. And now the weight is starting to go up, because these towers are definitely heavy. So that puts your full weight into it. So this is going to be the front of the printer. And that needs to come forward just a wee bit. There we go. That's it. Okay. And then this will be connecting end stop. It's interesting I don't see one in there. Yeah. No end stop on that one. So it looks like they're only doing it on one side. Unless there's something else that happens. Okay. What did they tell us? M4 12 by 24. M4 12 24. Where are those? M2, M4 12 26. That's gonna mess with my head. Okay, so this is very interesting. I think I've found the right parts, but we have a dilemma. So this is something I'm going to feed back to him. M4 12 24. Yeah? In the screw packets, M4 12 26. Somebody who's really headstrong about, which part, they're going to think they're missing something because of this early on in the build. So that's something that also needs to feed back. Very, very confusing. I actually almost did it. So let's just open that. Here we go. And each of these need to affix the top and bottom shells. Okay, so basically all of those little bolts in the bottoms on each side. And I think there's 4 on each one, so that's going to take it. That explains why there's the number that they're giving, because that's M4 by 12 and then 24 telling you there's 24, but it sounds like they gave you 2 extra bolts, which is a good thing. But it, like I said, it could lead to somebody being confused. Now we need the 2.5 pH 2.5. Nope, it's going to be a pH 3 for these. Right, that's it. So come down here. That's one. This is a beastly looking printer. I was going to do this as a live, but I thought, well, with the way I'm set up, I'm not really set up for that unless I'm demonstrating something that I've already done. Because I record everything with my phone. I'm not one of those people that has, you know, tons of money and loads of camera equipment and fancy streaming, equipment. I'm just an overly obsessed hobbyist that absolutely loves 3D printing in that regard. So there we go. This is probably, of all the deltas I've seen over the course of time, I really like this frame. It is a combination of metal and plastic, granted, but they have the metal right in the right spots to really make it firm. That's it. There we go. Right. That's that 4. Now for these 4. And we'll worry about the stealth burner later. Right. Oh, and yeah, that's me. Hi. I know I don't get myself in the shot very often, to be fair. I am going to work on that. Maybe someday I'll get, a couple of cameras that are USB, and I'll hook them up to a little machine just for the purpose of the streaming and that, or recording, what have you. Might be something to think about anyway. Let's bring that forward just a little bit more for my liking, just so I can make sure that that is where it's supposed to be. Because it looks like these line up flush when you get them right. Right. Old legs. That's it. Yeah, I actually enjoy doing these. Plus, on the aspect, if any of you that are watching have been on the fence about it, as to how difficult can it be, then you can kind of see how the build is going to go. I know there's a lot of other streamers out there and influencers that do these. They have a much better professional studio. Props to them. But I have a job I'm happy with, so I just like sharing these and my thoughts with people about them. And then obviously if I can, I'll learn everything about it so that when one of you out there says, oh, I'm having this such and such trouble, there's a chance I might know what the answer is because I will have learned the machine, and you'll find me saying, hey, have you tried this? That's it. There we go. I predominantly I'm on Facebook for that, but you know, I'm also now on Discord and a few others, obviously, because of finding information and people saying, oh yeah, try over here. That's it. That's nice and tight. Let me just make sure this one's tight now, and then I'll turn that around so I can tighten that. Put the bolts in the other side. All these little pieces of styrofoam are doing my head in. But better to have that than to have poor packing and have it come in pieces. There we go. That's that. All right. So we only have one more side to do. That's it. And yeah, that's going to kind of half block you. Sorry about that. Like I said, don't have a lot of the big equipment or space or studios or man caves. That's one. And I always have a tendency to do this, kind of like you would do when you're changing a wheel. You do the diagonals, so you do like the top left and then the bottom right, and then bottom right, top left, except, or sorry, bottom left, then top right. You get the idea. There we go. Nearly there. That's that. And what I'm hoping to do is also throw some high-speed filament on this, because I understand this is a high-speed delta, and then see what we can make it do. That's that one. There we go. Not exactly sure if they have already made a profile for these, so it will be a build-it-yourself thing unless somebody's already made a profile. If they have, I'll find it and try and include it. Okay, so that's that one done. There. That's it. Nice and tight. That's it. Done. Okay. We now have 4 or 3 solid towers. That's it. There we go. Okay, so we now have 3 solid towers. Now, let's see how they want this. Okay, so that goes with the branding to the front. So where's the branding? Oh, there it is. Got it. Okay. So this will go on here. Nice and carefully, of course. These look like optical sensors. Wild. Yeah, optical sensors. Yeah, they're optical in-stops. That's a nice change. I've not seen that one used in some time. What do we got here? A wire that needs to be considered, which is probably for that. Right, let's get this. That's it. Another wire. Yes, it is. So when you're putting these tops on, you need to be mindful. There are wires that sit just about where the motor is that you may need to pull out. Yep, there they are. that's it. They didn't exactly mention those, did they? Right, so let's get the other side here. Oh, those are already out. Haha! I'm just going to double check though, make sure there isn't a second one that I'm not aware of. Yep, there it is. Knew it. Okay. Okay. And there we go. Motors sit right up in there. That's nice. Oh, there you go. No blocking during printing. Okay, so there's a vent. I'll try and get a view of that later for you up here. And I'm guessing that's for the CPAP. But it also looks like there's a couple of vents up here, which probably allow it to get some airflow past the motors. So that's nice to see that. Okay, let's bring that forward just a little bit so I can make this go back a little bit. And now the weight's starting to grow. Yeah, that's definitely got some weight on it now. Woohoo! Yeah, one of these days I'm going to have to move all this stuff around. Make it where I can do a lot more. In fact, what I need to do is get rid of a lot of this stuff. Make some room. Because, I mean, there's enough room over there that if I got rid of a bunch of things, I could probably put another printer over there. In fact, it would be big enough to actually put this printer by itself and still have room on either side of it. So, something for me to think about. There we go. So there's 24 of these that you have to do, as we determined. Where's the rest of them? There they are. Put that here. I can see now where all these other screws are going to be asked for, which is interesting in itself. Right. There we go. And what I'll do here is, now that I've moved that base, or that top, let me see if I can get you a better view of what's going on up top. Just move that. There we go. That's just a power cable anyway. So up here, I'm working on the bolts. Let's just push this back a little bit. There we go. That's better. Please excuse the mess. Like I said, not a lot of room, so you end up going up instead of out. But yeah, here's where I'm at. Got the top, and I'm doing these bolts. So that one's done. That's where I was. So we got 4 screws in each tower corner. What a beautiful printer. This could also be used with an enclosure. If some of the reading I did about it, I suspect you could do functional parts with this. So some of those parts that you really want to be able to do quickly, you might be able to do on this. If the parts that you're looking to make, however, need, such as carbon fiber, you probably would need to change the nozzle, because I seem to recall it comes with a brass nozzle, but being that that looked like a V6 in spares, I think that you probably could get a V6 hardened steel nozzle, or like the E3D obsidian, or obsidian, and be able to print your abrasives, within the speed limits that those require. And because this is an enclosure that it has on it, you can trap all the heat that the bed's going to produce, that the hot end's producing. I'm sure by now somebody's probably even came up with an active heater. That was my laptop rebooting, doing an update. Yeah, it's a Predator. That's it. Yeah, I'd had it off for a couple of days, so every once in a while it's good to turn it on and just let it do the Windows updates. Let's see here. Yeah, okay. Yep, that's the last one. Oh, hold on. Do I have one in there? Yes, I do. That's the one. It's one of those. There we go. That's what happens when I have to reach down. I forget which one I was on next. There we go. Little more pieces of the styrofoam. That's going to definitely annoy me. That's it. There we go. Nice and tight. Right. Last one, which is that. Man, I'll tell you what, that thing's doing some updates. I love the fact that, this is not that big of a table, but yet this thing clearly has some good stability because it's holding on that. That's a definite sign that there's good design thinking going into that. And as we thought, 2 screws left. Yep. It looks sleek. It looks futuristic. I mean, I've seen many of the printers from FLsun from the early days. In fact, I was actively speaking with one of their people at the time when the VS400 was being produced. I didn't get the opportunity to be part of that because back then I really didn't understand Clipper as well as I do now, which I'm thinking probably was why. But from the mechanical side of it, and because I had already been seen operating a Castle, I was being asked all kinds of questions, what I thought about it. So who knows, maybe some of it was thought of at that time. There we go, nearly there. And if you're wondering what's drying over there, I'm drying out some desiccant. That's it. Nearly there. These ones I can't just twiddle them, in so quickly. But there we go. That's it. Nice and tight. There we go. Oh, okay. So what I assume is the inlet port for the turbofan. It's up here, and it even says it has a sticker, so you'll see it if you get one of these, and you're gonna decide on that. But it says no blocking during printing, and then there's a couple more here, which I assume probably feed air, you know, to this, because this shows air coming out, so I'm assuming this is going to also pull in here. Right, what do we got? Back to the guide. Hey, it's time for the tool head. Okay, so we need the H1.5 and 2.5 Allen keys. Okay, so the 1.5, which is the tiniest one on here, 1.5, 2.5, and the, did they say 2.5? Double checking. Yep, 2.5, which is up here. So first and third. And we'll just put those there for the moment. And here we have a tool head. Quite beastly. That looks like a volcano. Jeez. That is an amazing looking tool head. Couple of little fans. Oh, one fan only there. Get all the little fibers out. So they've got what appears to be like a 25mm fan blowing across the inside of that. Let's just take that sock off and have a peek while we're here. Oh, that's beastly. That's very interesting. Yep. And there's a little bit of gap, so I'm going to make a mental note on that. That's about 2mm at least. Let's have a look at that. Maybe 3 actually. 1, 2. Yeah. Just shy of 3mm gap between that and the end. Thermistor looks like it's a cartridge type. And then we have a cartridge heater. That's wild. That's definitely wild. Nice little tool head board inside of there. Hooks to that. And that explains. Ah, so this is for the motor. This is going to cool your motor and your tool head board. And then your CPAP takes care of everything else. This, for those that don't know, this piece of metal that looks kind of odd and triangular, for Delta printers that's called the effector, and it's where everything gets pushed around. Okay, so what do they have here? Take out the M3 5x6 and M3 3mm by 6 of them. So M3 by 5 and M3 by 3. So M3 by 5, where are you? What is that? It's something else. M3 by 5. Hold on. Now here we go again. M3 5mm, M3 3mm. Supposed to be packs of 6 on each. Yeah. Gasket. M3 by 5. 12. Which makes kind of sense because there's 2 tensor rods per thing. M3 3. So M3 3mm. Something's wrong. M2.9. M2 by 9. That's a bit, here we go again with the confusing thing. Ah, there it is, M3 3s. Those are some tiny little things. That can't be right. Oh, yes, it can. I see. And install isolation cone to the parallel arm bar. Ah, and that's why they have the isolation ones. Right, got ya. Where did those go? I just had them. There was one isolation columns. Ding! Right, so this is on each corner. Pre-adjust screws 1 to 2, turns to the effector hanging platform as shown. Right, this is going to be fun. Put that up there. Okay, so whoop. Here's the M3x5. M3x3, which don't know why they have so many of these, but spares is good. And then the isolation columns. That makes sense to me because of how the effectors are supposed to work, along with the tension knobs. Right, so with that, I can get this. Here we go. I won't need to cut that. Good. And I'll probably save that in case I ever want to rebox it. That's that. I'll just put that there for the moment. There it is. Oh, I am wrong. That is something new that I have never seen before. Oh, there it is. Ah, there's the other side of it. I thought, wait a second, where's the other tensor rod? That's why. And it's nice to see them finally putting an anti-vibration spring. It also puts a little tension on your tensor rods. So that's actually really good, because that used to be something you had to make yourself. Very nice. There we go. Very, very nice. Oh, and they got a spring on the top too. Ha ha ha. That's going to make massive differences as far as the overall stability. That's it. There we go. 3 pieces, which I shall put somewhere later. Right. And while I'm thinking about it, get rid of this. Scoop the filament through the latch slot to prevent tangling. Okay, right, alright. Right, now the fun part. They basically want you to pre-prep where these go in. And I can see why they used grub screws. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At least on that bunch. There we go. I'm going to do these one at a time. This way I don't... Yeah, because there's 2 lots here. First one locks it, second one doesn't. Right. Well, sort of. There we go. So they have a pictorial diagram where grub screw goes to the outer edge, regular M3 nut goes to, or bolt goes to the inner, and this looks to appear to have some Loctite daubed onto it, which is good, because that means you're not going to have to worry about that later. Let me just double check this here as well. Yep, it's the same all the way around. So your grub screws to the outer, your regular M3 bolts to the inner on each of these points on the effector. Come on. That's it. There we go. Just pre-load them in enough that they won't fall out is the gist of this. I'm doing this with it kind of, I don't know if you can see this or not, but I'm kind of doing it where my eyes will focus on it, because these are very tiny and I definitely do not want to do my usual self and drop one. It's not like I don't have more grub screws in the M3 size, but I would really not like to do that. There we go. That's it. There we go, that's that one. Two more. And then it's on to the others. And just so you can see, this is kind of what I'm doing here. That little tiny grub screw right there, but not far enough that it starts to grip into there. And then the last one goes on the outside of there. I know that a lot of these build videos that you see online, people will watch the ones that go quickly, where they have put the video on 3 times speed just because they want to get it done, which I can appreciate. Right, now on to the M3x5s. So same thing, need 6 of them, even though they give you 12. Let me just get that out of there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4. No, one too many. Still. Just going to make sure also that I'm looking at the right ones. What are those? M3x6. M3x5. It says M3x5 and M3x3, so I'm not crazy. I definitely will be feeding that back to them, because that means they need to really update the manual. it's unfortunate if there's things like this where you're trying to put it together and there's discrepancies in the wording. They probably should put that up on the point where it needs to be, where people can see it before they get it. So, or as a throw-in leaflet, if they don't want to have the cost of reprinting all those manuals. That's the trouble with printed manuals. When there's a change or an update, you know, you have to hope there's a PDF or that the company does an update. That's it. Just that much. What a beast of a looking head, though. And it doesn't really weigh that much. It's very light. You know, I'm actually quite tempted to just grab my my scale and see just how light that is once, because I think that's all of the pieces that are going into this. There's not much really to do. There's that. That's it. Do you know what? What the heck? Let's see what this beast weighs. Because it's got my curiosity. So the FLsun T1 Pro hot end weighs 323 grams. 323 grams, that hot end. And you can see it there possibly. Yep, 323 grams the entire hot end, which is pretty impressive. That is definitely lighter than a stealth burner. Yeah, my office is a mess, I know, shut up. Right, now the fun part. And I might actually sit down for a little bit for this, because I want to be able to make sure I get that right. Those look like braces anyway. So let me flip that cushion over. That's better. Get off there, just a power cord here, so I'll put that down out of the way. Right. I'll put that plastic side down for the moment. Get this out of the way. Put it with the ones that are already used up. Yeah. There's those M3s. Where did I put it? Oh, there it is. There's the M3. And then those are those. So the ones that are already used and don't need anymore, I will put over there. Okay. Now, right. Take out the effector, which is that. Pre-adjust 1 to 2 turns. Take out the isolation column. Install isolation column to the parallel arm ball pin in the direction shown. Please note the parallel arm ball pin's plane faces upwards. Then tighten the screws. The other 5 parallel arms are affixed according to this method. Okay, right. So basically, when you're, and I just realized I've got another packing thing to release. Here we go. That way I can also hopefully show you what they were just talking about. And these are some pretty impressive 9mm belts. If not 10. They are huge. But you kind of need it when you're talking about some of the speed that this thing can do. Right, let's get that out from behind the belt. Each of these tensor rods has a ball joint right here, yeah? There's a flat side that needs to face upward where it's going to grab. That's kind of like when you do a grub screw on, you know, a pulley gear on a stepper motor for your extruder, for example. That would be a great example of it. Right. So let's get this. So we're going to have a total of 6 of these. So it's nice that it seems that they have just about the right number of these ones. I'm just going to see if I can make that there. There we go. I might just bring that in a little bit so you might be able to see some of it. Now this is going to end up like this. So that means this one this is going to be interesting because it means I need to get a pair of pliers because they're not exactly straight up and down with respect to that. I guess they assume everybody has pairs of pliers, so oh, I see what that is. There was a little piece that I didn't know what it was about, and now I do. This is a little round but with 3 screws, which appears to hold the ball in place. That's rather clever, actually. It's better than the old way of doing it, you know. Okay, are all of those straight up and down with regard to the effector and to the rod? Yeah, that needs to twist just a little bit. There we go. Same thing with this. That's it. That way, when they're like that, they should be just about straight up and down. There we go. Right. I'll keep these to hand because that's probably going to become necessary. That's it. So we want an isolator on the rod first. Basically, it keeps the effector off of the ball just by a little bit on each one of these. Yeah, that's that much. Now, the fun part. And what I might do, just for stability reasons, pitch that one upward a little bit. That one needs twisting slightly. Ever so carefully. There we go. There we go. Isolators on that. Well, it looks like they did give us a few extras, so that's good. Because what I'm going to try to do is try to get these into the effector so it holds it in place before I try starting to tighten those down. That's nice. It looks like they give you 2 sets of the isolators, which kind of makes sense because there's another set up on top that have already been installed. So if you ever need to replace a tensor rod because something happened, you'll have spares. Okay, right, so with this is going to be fun. Wonder if I ran that one in too far. Oops. Yep. Okay, did I run any of those a little bit too far? They said 1 or 2 turns. Aha! That was it. It was the M3 at the back. I need to make sure of something too. That is perfectly lined up with that. That's that one. And what I'll do, for the sake of people, I will try and make sections of this where the boring stuff will go quickly. Is that? Whew. That's better. Whoa. Oh no. Yep, just dropped one. Well, tip to the wise. Do not drop those little isolators. Not unless you have really good eyes and a torch. Fortunately, with my circumstance, it's a case of it can't go very far, which is a fortune. But it's these springs that will keep the pressure on the tensor rods. Definitely will flick that when it's trying to straighten itself out like that. So definitely got to be careful. All right. Now let's see if I can do these ones one at a time. Oh no, there it goes again. That was this one. Fortunately, it didn't try to run away this time. But you know what? I think I'll wait until I go to put that one on. That's it. That one. Now I did notice that they pre-installed this tubing here for the hot end, but I'm noticing that they didn't really chamfer for the top of this. In fact, it's kind of rough cut. Yeah, I can feel a little bit of a rough cut on it. I'm probably going to put a little 60-degree V, like a cone shaped cut on that. That's just a trick I picked up because of building a Prusa. It means that when you're loading down to the hot end, you'll be able to make sure that the filament goes down in. Now this is going to be fun. Oh boy. Yeah. This is where it gets really fun and interesting. That's it. Right. That's it. Now it's all the way in. And to be fair, you probably couldn't get that kind of easy tension to begin with when you were building the old school deltas once of a day. You just gotta also kind of remember how to make things where you can get at them by moving them certain ways. There we go. There we go. Nearly there. That's it. Just going to have a look at each of these, make sure it looks like they're evenly spaced. Yep, evenly spaced, nice and tight. Happy days. Right, that's that done. Now, that the comedial side of me dropping things as usual is over, let's see if I can get this thing done. Okay, so take out the effector cord and the air duct from the groove in the top shell, cut off the fixing, align the air duct with the interface, press it down to prevent it from breaking. Please be careful not to rotate the air duct. Is there more to that? Oh, I see. Okay, and what are those? M3 by 6 to hold that in place. Okay. So, let's see if we can make this down low where we can play with it. First and foremost, I think I'll take that off now. Please guide the filament through the attached slot to prevent tangling. Okay, yep, which is this. Which also means that this probably is supposed to go the other way, based on the images I just saw. M3 by 6, which is those again, means we need 2 of them. 2 of those. But I really would like to see that diagram again. Yeah, that's fine. Oh. They would prefer if the zip ties were not on there. Oh, actually, they're not even zip ties. Haha. Okay. That saves some time. Twist tie. Twist tie. That's it. Right like that. that will go on there, and that will go down in there. That is one. And this goes onto that. You kind of really want to get that down a bit more. Right. That's it. There we go. That's on now. Those were the two PH2. And that will lock that in place. That's it. Oh, I see what they mean about running the filament down through the holes. I think I would actually prefer to have PTFE, but I suspect there's a reason behind that. And that looks like a printed part. Yep, those are printed. Make sure I'm not cross-threading it. There we go, that's better. Or is it? Oh, it probably has some Loctite on it. That's it. And I'm getting ready to grab my Allen keys because this is quite a tight thing and I don't want to be beating up the wires. That's it. One more. That's it. Nice and tight. Right. Okay, that's that done. Okay, so and where does that go? There's a patch somewhere here for this light. That's a light, most likely. Where are they thinking? Because now they're talking about the camera. This thing has a camera. which has me rather excited. Oh, I see. Okay, so supposedly it's here somewhere. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, got it. Now I know what that USB port's for. And it goes that way. Hey, we're not doing too bad. Hour and 33. I'll try and speed some of it up. Come on, get down there. That's it. That's the one. Right. And yeah, hold on. Is this? Oh. Yep, that's the two holes. That's that way. Apparently, there's a cable that I should have been seeing here. Huh. Okay. How does that work? Where's this supposed cable for LED? Yep, because they're showing that there should be a cable for an LED. And there is not. Unless it's hiding up in here. Well, I know this is where that plugs in. Let's just take out the big torch and have a look here. Uh-huh. Yep. Okay, somebody was clever. They should not have poked that way up in there like that. Well, that's going to be fun. Right, let's get this. Give it a twist so that I can see up in there as to how far I need to tug at. Nope. And there's our LED cable. Now that was not very nice. They should not have tucked that one in that far. So FLsun, please have a word with your assemblers. Now we can hide that in there. Which is why that is the way it is and where it is. But we can also tuck away, as they suggested, some of this excess USB cable. There we go. Very nice. Plenty of hiding spots. There we go. Done. Right. We are 90% done with this, which is good. Alright, so what do we got next? Limit switch of the 3 axes into the limit switch, which I already identified where those are. Motor cables. What are those? What? Oh. Oh. So they want to remove this cover plate. Why? Oh, there's a USB-C cable that needs to go in there. And that goes up to the top. I see. Okay. Right. Very interesting stuff. Okay, so they want to remove that cover plate. Ah, I see why too. They're going to hide it up in there. Right, got ya. Okay, that makes much more sense. Right. That is that size. Oop, one size down. Haha. The 2, pH2. Looks like somebody cheaped on the screws because there's 3 more holes. And all of the other ones have all the screws. So unless there's a set in there, it's missing 3 screws of this assembly. that should allow that plate to release. There it is. Sure enough. Okay. Right. Let's just quickly, while we're here, attach, as they said, the end stops. There's that, and the motor wires. Those are some, looks like 48 or 50 millimeter motors. So it's definitely got some beastie kind of power behind it. Oh, is that backwards? Yeah, sure is. There we go. That's that. Motor wire. This goes that way. There we go. That's that. Bet you I can tuck those up in there mostly. That's it. Yep. Sure enough. And then this one, I bet you I can tuck that right up in there like that. And then last one, that's that. There we go. And then tuck it up in there. There we go. That's beautiful. There we go. Okay. Now, this. And now that I can see what I'm doing, because I have a light under here. There's that. There we go. Once I get the build done, I'll start a second video that will be independent of this one, which will be going through the menus, doing first time setup, which I will actually show those being done. This way, somebody setting it up for the first time will see exactly what I see in that same regard, assuming same firmware versions and all that stuff. There we go. Right. So this, okay, so that's got to go up right in between here, which means that they could have probably done that at the factory, but they can't because it's part of that. But they should have included all the screws, if I'm honest. I could be talking out the back end, so because I haven't looked to see if there's some of those type of screws sitting in that bunch of screws and bolts. I get to them as I need them. That is a little bit, there we go, that's better. Right, so now that goes like so, and that goes losing the bolts. Thank you. Right like that into that USB port. Nice and careful. That's it. Right. Okay. Let's have a quick peek over here. No. Oh, yeah, they do. I stand corrected. There is M2.9 by 16. And that'll probably be part of that. Okay. Now what is this? Take out number 2 cable hole. Pinch the center snap of the cable hole and firmly push up in to organize the main and Type-C wiring, which I have done. And I suspect that is what this thing was that I saw as they said. Yes, number 2. And that basically, and I'm going to leave the stickers on there, because you never know. Where's the other one go? Where's the other screw bolt? Because there's one there. I don't see the other one. Yep, I definitely do not see the other one. Where does that go? See, this makes sense to me here, but there's no bolt hole there. But there is one there. Oh, I think I see what they did. Instead of using the bolts, they have a clip mechanism here. I understand now. Okay. Maybe that was somebody's afterthought. Yep. And you can secure that with a bolt, I'm guessing, if you want to. Okay. Fantastic. That's what those are. That's all of that. Okay, so they haven't mentioned it anywhere in the guide, but they have included the screws for this panel, and I think I'm going to take advantage of its presence. Hold on. Yeah, I thought so. Why isn't that going back in? Is that because of that? That's it. Yeah, but how does that then deal with it? Hold on. No, I had it right the first time. Yep. That's more like it. That's it. needs to go there. But that is blocking it. That's it. That's it. There we go. Ha ha ha. Okay. I think on this one, we're not going to get a print tonight because it is actually starting to get late. I had a lot of things going on during the daytime, which prevented me from starting this build until basically when this video started. But it means we are not far away from being able to do a setup and a print from the memory card that they offer. There we go. Go. Now I know where those go. Okay. So they would like to next take this bad boy out. There we go. This is our display cable. And over here is our display. And of course it uses a ribbon instead of being something a little more standard. But, you know, it is what it is, I suppose. That's a tight fit, I'll tell you that right now. Trying to get that in there the way it's intended. Let's hope, yeah, there's a bit of slack, thank goodness for that. Right, we're going to pause that for a second because I can hear my headphones telling me it's going to run out of power. Okay, now that we've sorted that, let's go back to this. Yeah, so it is as I suspected. Blue is down. I've always hated these little type of ribbon cables. I'm sure there's a cost reason behind using this as opposed to something that has USB or I2C or SPI or even USB. It was a bit tight. Just going to make sure that yep, that's all the way up. So we're not forcing it. That is definitely not wanting to go in there. Bit fiddly. I wonder, hold on a second. I wonder if this is supposed to go the other way. Hold on. Aha, I was right. It's the other way. Darn it. I was backwards. I see what they've done. The picture doesn't really tell you that the QR code is where they're coming in from. Right, okay, I get it. That's much better. And then once you have it all the way forward, as far as it'll go, you should feel a bit of pressure when you lock it in place. And sure enough, locked in place. Haha. Nice and carefully. That now goes there. That's that. And that screen protection stuff that they have on there is staying right where it's at. Okay, that's it. Display cable. Now, M3 6 millimeter. 1, 2, 3. Right. That's where those go. Got it. Okay. These bad boys are basically power supports. They firm up the rest of the frame. Here's the M3x4s. Or M3x6, did it say? M3x6. So it's the rest of these guys. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then probably end up using the rest of this stuff on the enclosure, which will be next. Oh, looks like my flashlight's finally getting tired of being on. Yep, battery must need charging. Okay. That's it. That's one. And now we do the other. Let's see if we can just turn this back again so you all can see that. I'm so ignorant when it comes to this kind of stuff. As my head focuses on trying to make sure I put the machine together correctly so that it works the way it was intended, good or bad. Take the torch and put it on charge. What a shame. Mind you, I've been doing all sorts today, so no surprise. There we go. That's on charge. There is a linear rail there. Thought so. I was wondering if they had used the roller bearings, you know, like the SG15s, or just the opposite of a SG15, where grabs on the outside, but nope. MGN12 sitting at the back. Happy days. We know MGN12s. Easy enough, no messing with. And it looks to be very well lubricated from the looks of things. That's it. There we go. That's all of that. Now, panels. M36. I better go ahead and get the rest of these ready to hand then. There. So that's the one that you use. These little guys for the doors. Okay. And then that other piece is going to be for over here. Yep. That goes on there. Okay. Right. So, with that, let's go ahead and put this here. For the moment, handle. Yeah, so 2 enclosure things. Da-da-da. Oh, there's some clips. I got it. Yep. Okay. And you get a couple of bolts to hold it in place. Okay, I understand now. Sometimes I have to just read it a couple of times just to be sure what I'm being given. Right. So these are the panels. There's the sticky stuff. You never know. Might want to pack it back up. Or you might need to pack it back up and send it somewhere. I like the fact that it has pre-installed warning labels with regard to temperature inside of the enclosure. Might be just a tad hot. Which is very, very true. Just put this over here. Now that that's done. Do that. So I am going to save that in case I ever have to repack it. That's, wow, okay. That's glass. That's the front panel one, and that's glass. Wow, okay, careful. The rest of these appear to be perspex. I really need to be careful here. Yeah, sorry. That's just one of those things. Sorry, people. I'm sorry you had to watch this. There we go. Right. There is some plastic that can come loose off of there, which means you get nice clear panels. or at least dark smoky ones. That's it. Here we go. Oh, yes, that'll do nicely. Those I will probably gain. Alright. I see. Ah, yes, it has little swing arms. Okay, I'm going to rotate this around so you can see this, because that is very, very nice. I don't know why some of these other enclosures out there don't do the same. So, let's go ahead and look at this side. This is the side facing our B tower. Now, they have a couple screws to hold the panel in place, but there's these lovely little things. So here's what the instructions say to do. You get this in here, where it needs to be. And there's some rubber strips on either side as a point. There we go. You can use your Allen key to get it centered, like so, and then just do this. Boom. 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 And boom. Look at that. That is fantastic. And those are in 3/6, I believe. That sure does not look like an M3 though. I could be wrong. Let's find out. In 3/6, okay. Sure enough, M3, 6mm. Not too tight on these though, because you can crack the perspex if you've never worked with it before. I know I probably should have taken off the stickers. I know it's kind of tacky seeing the number stickers, but I think it's quite useful just to leave them there. If you ever have to take it apart for any reason, you will know exactly which part goes where. But people don't always think of that. Right. We'll repeat this on this side, and then I'll bring it around for the door panel. The fact that that door panel is glass is pretty impressive, but it does make me think, you know, did they need to use glass? Could it not have been perspex as well? I know it adds a certain level of luster and look, and it lets it command authority. You can also put a frame on that, because if the whole purpose is trapping heat, look at how many printers don't use glass for a door, and they work just fine trapping the heat. It's only if you're going above a certain level of heat, at which point you're looking at industrial printers. That's it. There we go. Right. Yeah. Looks like somebody dinged it. Yeah, somebody had dinged it when they were cutting the holes. Oh well. It happens. prints. I'm not picky as long as it prints. That's what I want to see. I want to see it printing beautifully and fast. That's that one. Well, let's do the bottom one first this time. Doesn't want to go into there, does it? That one does. Okay. That's better. There we go. That's that. That's that. And 2 screws. Building these printers also sometimes gives me inspiration for if I'm trying to do something for myself, which is kind of cool. There we go. That's that. Okay. That will be going in my bin. Now let's turn this back around. It's actually lighter than I thought it would be. If those panels had been all glass, this would have been one heavy beast. I can tell you that right now. It's still got a bit of weight, don't get me wrong. Right. Now that and I did notice, yep, magnets. They got magnets already built in. Right, now, this is where you have to be a little more careful. There's some little grommets here that you need to use so that when you tighten down the screws, you don't totally blast the whole thing out. There's my scissors. That's it. Right. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4 of these. One, 2, come on. 3. Actually, you need more than that. 2 on the front, 2 on the back, I would have thought. I could be wrong. I am going to double check. Yeah, guess not. Oh, it's plastic, that's why. And then 2 for the door handle. Go. So we need also 6 screws. And while I'm thinking about it, get those open because I know I'm going to probably be asked for them. Right. Throw that over there. And 3, 6. Oh, hold on, those are a little bit thicker, I think. Two of these. Take out the door handle. Oh, okay. doesn't make sense. Entry 6. Oh yeah, it does. 8s. I need the little 8s for the door handle. These are for the other thing. Right. So we're nearly completed with this. And 2 grommets, which I am going to pre-prepare now. That's it. There we go. Just make sure that's still going. Yep. Okay. Making reasonable time. 1, 2. Come on, 3. 1 more. 4. There we go. So. Two. 4. There we go. Right. Let's get this beast on there. Come on. That's it. That's one. Oh, darn it. The other one decided not to play nice. And it got in the wrong place. And besides, I think this is supposed to come from the outside, isn't it? Let's have a look. This funny feeling. Yep, nope, I was right. You do have to come this way. Alright, get on there. Come on, little guy. Oh. That worked much better. That's it. That's it. That's that one. Alright, now I can. That's it. open. That's for the door handle. Go. And now it's time for the door handle. And then I'm going to put those missing bolts or screws into that front X tower, as per se. That's that. Nearly there. Oh, that's it. Oh yeah, and that's got the strong magnet in it, as I thought it did. Okay, so let me get some of these M9s. I don't know why there's some of these other things though. Could be wrong. So let me get some of these. I just need 3 of them for that inner cable panel, which was doing my head in. And of course, I have many lights to be able to see what I'm doing. It's always useful to have as many of those as you can, whether it's a cob light or a flashlight or a torch or whatever. Never hurts. There we go. Consistency. It actually looks like you can get another frame brace in here. So if you had another brace and you wanted to put it at the front, you actually could, which is interesting. I wonder if there would be a purpose to doing that. That's it, all tightened down. And there we go. That, I think, should be everything. But I am going to look at the guide. I can take my torch out here after I get those few pieces of fluff. There we go. And there's some very interesting material here. This is probably if you are going to use an external for that. Oh, this isn't PTFE, this is filament. That's a shame. Okay. I think I am going to look at some PTFE though, but I think I'll bypass this small tiny amount for a full-size item. I wonder if that's for up there. Yeah. Okay, so looking at the last few bits in the manual, we've done the enclosure, and then it is literally, please make sure you have the correct amount set. Take the power cord out, pop, 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 pop. Make sure your power is set appropriately. For the UK, that's 230 stroke 240. And then they start through the setup, and apparently there may be additional. There's a slicer. Okay, so probably wouldn't hurt to get that because it'll have a lot of the settings and can have a look at it. But we are going to initially just give it like a power test. You know, do we get power? Does it turn on? If so, we're done, at least for the moment. And then in the next video, which will be done, then we will have going through setting it up, and of course doing its first print, which will be quite useful. I'm just going to get all of these things and then I'll do that. It's just so that I do not lose them, because I know how I am. So that's that. There we go. Okay, there's all of our little things. We're going to keep the manual here. I am going to turn that sideways, obviously afterward, but that is just for my convenience. But I'll do that before I start the next bit. Okay. And that's all of our excess stuff. I'll just put that there for the moment. There we go. Those are our leftovers. These are just excess bolts that are not needed. Let's get some power cable. It's time to do a smoke test, as some people like to call it. If there's no smoke, then you got it right, and you have a chance. And I'll just put that one little thing in here. Okay, here we go. Alright, double check switch. Make sure that they actually did that. Yes, they did. They did set it to the correct voltage at the factory. This is good. Right, put this into car. Now plugged in, at least as far as the power cable is concerned, so I just need to quickly have a peek. Dropping user guide, of course. Put that there. There it is. Okay, there's our switch. So the power switch is there. Oops, dropped my headset. Well done. So if that made a horrible noise, I do apologize, because I understand my phone likes to use them as microphones. Alright, let's see if we get a working printer. And this will be the telltale. Here we go. We have printer. Yes. Oh, you can see the light. Oh, that's nice. I like that. Oh yes, definitely like that. Now I'm not going to start this. I'm going to leave this for the next bit. So with that, thank you for watching the build. Hope you come back for the setup and first print.